Everybody, it's George here. Today we're going to be looking at Bolton versus Wimbledon. We got to win. It's been coming, definitely been coming. Sorry there was no Blackpool video. I was on holiday, and I'll be honest, the motivation to do the fourth one all in a row whilst on holiday was very low. But I'm back with this one. We're going to start off by just looking at a little bit of pressing. You'll notice Mario picked up these positions a lot. He was a lot further in than you'd expect a winger to be. We left their left back wide open at times. I'm going to go into why we did that and why it was quite smart actually. Randall and Burstow, the press yesterday was very, very good. Burstow goes and forces this man again. This is 34 seconds in. Randall comes up. They end up going all the way back. And we really set the tone for the game in this first 10 minutes with how we pressed it. I was quite impressed with the opening 10 minutes. You can see we forced them back here. Burstow and Randall pressing, and Mario in that slightly higher up position inside. If you look at where Gale is on the other side, definitely not where you'd expect your winger, but again, it worked very well tactically because the left centre back a lot of the time was picking the ball up. And because of where Mario was positioned, he couldn't find their left back, who was the spare man. And that's because if he'd have opened up to play out a lot, not necessarily in this one because we forced them back anyway, but there were certain times I'll show you later where if he'd have opened up to play out to this left back, Mario's just going to go and take the ball off him, or at least go and cause problems. And the last person you want to be giving the ball to as the last man is Mario. But no, again, 41 seconds in, really good start, pressing them back. We didn't really let them play much on Saturday, as the next slide will show. So this is the pass map from Saturday for them. And as you can see, their left centre half really struggled to find their left back. The centre mid found him quite a few times, but the way they was trying or would like to play out, I'd imagine, would be to get the ball to him. But Mario shut that down very, very well, and that was clearly something that Schumacher had planned tactically because of the way Mario was stood. And as you can see here, very little service into the front men from the midfield at all. And again, I think that's Simmons and Morley did an absolutely fantastic job. Simmons especially, defensive wise, did a fantastic job of shutting down that middle of the pitch. So overall, a really good pressing performance, in my opinion, on Saturday. Now, this is one of the only negatives. We're 4 minutes 28 in here. Their man wins a header wide open in the box. I think it was Randall's man, although I'm not entirely sure. I have watched it back a few times and think it may be Randall's man. But there were a couple of times marking from set pieces and crosses where we didn't pick up especially well. And obviously, if this goes in here, you can see this is a really good chance for them. If this goes in here, this is a very, very different game. We've seen what happens when we go one behind. Teams drop off, stick 11 men behind the ball, and it's very, very difficult to play against. So that's one of the only negatives I really found from Saturday, was the marking at times was a little bit poor. This is off a long ball that we played, and we played quite a few long balls yesterday, actually. Not necessarily to our own man either. But what we did was, when their back line got it, we went up and pressed as a unit. As you can see, you've got Gale, Burstow, Morley, and Mario, Randall. Randall ends up putting the pressure on. This man clears it, he drops to Mario, he hits it, and their keeper makes a save. I think it was deflected, and then he makes the save. And we win a corner from it. But again, less than 5 minutes into the game, being really aggressive, pressing, not letting them settle, not letting them get into a rhythm. It was really impressive. We shut down them playing quite early on, to be honest. They had little moments that you could see what they were trying to do. They weren't a bad side, Wimbledon, in that first half. You could see what they were attempting to do. We just had a lot more quality, and we set about the game plan very, very well. Randall was leading the press a lot on Saturday as well, with Burstow sort of occupying the deeper roles, and that's because Burstow dropped in quite often on Saturday, trying to drag their defenders out. And Randall, I thought he put a real shift in on Saturday. He was running everywhere. He was pressing. He won a couple of tackles. I really thought, and obviously he got the goal, but I really thought defensively he put a really, really good shift in on Saturday. I was quite impressed. And here you can see less than a minute later, this comes from our throwing. We ended up giving a foul away here, but I just wanted to highlight how aggressive we was at the start of the game. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players in there, about 2 centre halves back. You've got 3 players just in this square, they're not the square, circle, sorry, around the ball. As I say, we end up giving the free kick away. This ref really loved to give a foul yesterday, on Saturday. Really loved to give a foul. That was both ways as well. But it just shows how much pressure we was putting on the ball really early on. And it goes back to what I was saying. We really did not let them settle. And I think that was a key part in us taking over the game. Wanted to highlight how Charman Low plays the ball into Simmons, and as you can see, the two centre halves are wide, and they're pressing here. But because Simmons picks the ball up here, this midfielder ends up going to him, out to him there, as you can see. As you can see, it's just an arrow, but he does end up coming in, which creates all this space here. And as you can see in the image I'm going to show you in a second, Johnston moves further out wide, which stops this man from being able to block this pass off. We go back into Simmons, not into Simmons, sorry, back into Sharman Low. Randall then drops in from an attacking midfield position into all of this space that we've got over here. And we managed to find this little pocket of space. Schumacher said in his interview after the game that we really wanted to target their right-hand side. And this was just one of the ways that we managed to create that overload on that side. And it caused them a lot of problems because, as you can see from further images I'm going to show you later, this man starts to drop off and stick with Randall, which then allows Simmons the time to turn and drive or pick his pass. So by us doing this so early on in the game, it caused so much problems for this midfielder because he didn't know who he should have been pressing. As you can see, Randall's dropped in, picked up the ball. It ends up going out to Conway. And then this is where Conway picks it up, actually, takes the man on, and the referee gives a foul when it definitely should have been an advantage. The image where the referee gives the foul, and it was a foul, don't get me wrong. However, with 1, 2, 3 players, I think they've got a player back here. I could be wrong. But either way, it's a 3-on-3, or even if Morley gets up, it's a 4-on-3 or a 3-on-2. It's an attack that's got legs to it, definitely. And we created a lot of space out on this right-hand side, which if we'd have found Mario, it could have caused a few problems for him. But the referee brought it back for the foul. Again, I thought that was quite a poor decision, but I'm not going to moan about the referee. If there's any side that could moan about the referee, I don't think it's us. What I was mentioning a couple of images ago, where this midfielder now is sitting with Randall because he does not want to allow him this space again, which in turn allows Simmons to come and drive with the ball. After this particular one, we end up winning a free kick on the edge of the box where Morley ends up putting that fantastic low ball in. How no one got on the end of that? Well, Farino got on the end of it, but didn't put it in. But how no one in the middle got on the end of that, I will never know. Some of Morley's deliveries Saturday were absolutely fantastic. I was really impressed with him. But you can see as well, Randall dropping into that left centre mid, taking him away, which again, it just allows Simmons that space, which he definitely took. He had a good game on Saturday, did Simmons. I wanted to highlight this because we were very fluid in possession, in my opinion, on Saturday, because we switched from a 4-2-3-1 into a 4-3-3 numerous times. And in fact, here, I'm going to go on to talk about, we even switch into a back three at times with Simmons dropping in. Now, Simmons realises that there's not the space here because this man's dropped off and these three are trying to screen. So he drops in to create that back three. And what that does is allow Cogley to move up. It makes these think about how they're going to press. Maybe it opens up the spaces in here. But it allows Cogley to go up and it even allows Mario to drop the Kim. And it gives them problems because when players are moving around and creating different angles and moving into different shapes on the pitch, it can cause, if you've been working all week on this is how we're going to press them, this is how we're going to stop them, and suddenly they're switching to a back three, a midfield two, we caused them a lot of problems really early on. And I do think that they struggled to figure out how to press us. And a lot of that was due to Simmons and his little movements. As you can see here, you've got Johnston, Simmons, Farino, you've got the back three. Cogley's moved up higher and Mario's dropping in. Now, this didn't lead to anything, but I just wanted to show that for an opposition player, this causes you a nightmare, as I've just said, because you don't know where you're meant to be pressing anymore, because there's not many times this season I've seen us use this shape. And as you can see, it creates a lot of space here, where if maybe Randall goes, Morley can come and drop in. If Randall goes, Morley moves away, Mario's coming picking the ball up. If this man then moves out, you've got Cogley. It just creates problems for them that we can manoeuvre around, and they have to solve. It allows us to take the front foot whilst being so far back in our own half. And I was certainly very impressed with this. This one doesn't necessarily lead to anything, but I just wanted to highlight here, you've got the back three, but in a different way. Cogley's dropped in. Because Burstow's coming in, Simmons has the ball, Morley's just played it to him. Because Burstow's coming in, this man has to sort of occupy this position, which again creates that space on this left-hand side, which we was definitely looking to target. But this is another way in which we found that space, because he he can't move, because if then Morley takes the ball, he can look for a Mario. Or he can't go in, because if it comes to Cogley, we've got the space again, you're finding a Mario. So it ends up becoming a massive problem for them. Randall drops into this position. He doesn't necessarily take the ball very well in this occasion, I don't think. But again, it ends up with a 3-on-1, 3-on-2 out wide on that left-hand side. So this is another way in which we was finding solutions to how to get that ball out on our left and really hurt their right-hand side. Just before Randall picks the ball up. And as you can see, Burstow's now getting ready to spin his man. And if you look at the space behind he's created by dropping in and turning, again, we didn't use him here, but it shows that that could have caused a lot of problems for them, because his man follows him in. And as you can see by his foot positioning, Burstow can go and get him behind there. And he did turn his man, he made the run. We didn't find him, but I was very impressed with Burstow and his little movements on Saturday. He caused the opposition defenders an absolute nightmare. It's just something I wanted to highlight, because Max Conway was absolutely fantastic on Saturday. Going forward, he was immense. On the ball, he looks like he just glides through the pitch. It's fantastic to watch. But defensively, he really impressed me. I think that Saturday was his best defensive performance in a Bolton shirt so far. Just the anticipation he showed at times to come and cover back in, and the battle he showed to win the ball back in and get back in front of his man a few times out on this left-hand side. He really, really impressed me Saturday, defensively. Here, if you look at his defensive statistics, 3 out of 4 tackles won, last man's tackles 1, clearances 1, headed clearances 1, recoveries 5, was fouled 5 times. So I'm sure many of you will know one of them was an absolute shocker. Won 11 out of his 14 ground duels. Was just overall really impressive defensively. And then obviously going forward, creates 2 chances, gets the assist. He was absolutely magnificent on Saturday. He's definitely one for the future, Max Conway, definitely. All hail Thierry Gale. He was absolutely fantastic. I feel like I've used the word fantastic, brilliant. I'm using all these words. But it was a good performance, and especially from Gale. And what I really, really loved is he went on his left foot numerous times. He looked like he was coming inside, showed his man a fresh pair of heels, got round him. Here it comes to, I think we win a corner off it. Yeah, you can see there's the 2-on-2. This man has to go, because Gale's absolutely blitzed past his man, which creates a 2-on-2 in the box. We couldn't quite find Burstow or Mario, but the man clears it. We end up with a corner. But I was really, really impressed with how both wingers, Mario more in the second half, how both wingers changed up what they were doing. They weren't as predictable as we've seen in the past weeks. And from a Bolton fan perspective, it's absolutely fantastic to see your winger showing his man a fresh pair of heels, getting down the line and putting a cross in. It was just lovely to see. Proper poacher's finish from Burstow, a proper poacher's finish. The ball in from Morley, we already spoke about his deliveries, absolutely fantastic. Fantastic again. The first header from Torino was brilliant. It's the post, but to have the nuance and the anticipation to follow that in and be in the right place at the right time. How long have we been saying if we just had a man in the right place at the right time, we'd score loads of goals? And Burstow was there again. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. He was fantastic on Saturday. Fantastic again. I'm going to have to come up with a new word. Well, not a new word, just a different one. Oh, nice. I had to show it twice. Brilliant goal there by Burstow. Now here is what I was speaking about before with the Mario and his positioning. As you can see, it's very different to the positioning from Gale. He was much higher up, and again, this is a tactical plan. I'm not saying that Gale's doing anything wrong. Gale was doing his job perfectly well. But this man picks up here, and as you can see, left back's wide open, but you can't find him because Mario starts off slightly more over here. And if he does turn out and try and find him, Mario's shown very good 1v1 defending skills and very good interception. He's defended very well from them wide positions. So if he does open up, he causes himself a lot of problems. So the safe option for him is to play back into here. Randall then makes a long bursting run to go and press this man. He tries to find the only pass that was available to him because Randall cuts off this ball, Burstow cuts off this ball, and Mario cuts off this ball, Gale cuts off that ball. The only option is to go out there, but because of the pressure that Randall's putting on him, he ends up misplacing the pass. It goes out for a throw in. It was a brilliant press, but I just wanted to highlight this again. And even if Mario slightly gets this wrong, he turns back out and plays here. Not the end of the world because you've got your two defensive midfielders, so Cogley can move straight out to him. Farino could come across and Morley could slide in, or Morley could just go and slide in there, or you could even let him have the ball for a second, shift your defence across, and Morley comes out. We was covered in case it went wrong, but it's a very aggressive press from this right-hand side that forced them down that left-hand side, where Max Conway cleaned up pretty much everything that they tried to offer. Mario tries to play the ball through to Randall here, and Randall, he goes down. It's not a penalty. Again, it's very picky. I want to try and not just be overly positive because we won. I wanted to try and find a few things that maybe we could have done slightly better. Unfortunately, it's for Mario, and I feel like I do single out his passing a little bit. But could he have found Burstow here? Because, all right, that's a lovely ball, and if it works, fantastic. Randall's through one-on-one. However, with the way the defenders are positioned, and especially the man behind Randall who's chasing back, to find Randall from here, it has to be an inch perfect pass. An inch perfect pass, whereas the ball to Burstow is a rather simple one. Obviously, when you're looking at it from this angle, much easier to say. It's much easier for me to sit here and look at a still image and say that than it would be to make your mind up in the split second. And I rate the fact that he's gone for the harder pass. He's tried to create. I do rate that. Just one maybe slight negative was maybe if we'd have found Burstow here, it's still your 3-on-3. He can go and get round. Maybe Burstow even gets into the box and has a shot. Just wanted to highlight that maybe the decision could have been a little bit better there. I thought in the first half, I didn't think Mario was involved in the game too much on the ball. His pressing was fantastic, but the second half, wow, he came to life. Second half, what on earth was Brown thinking here? Absolute horror challenge on Conway. He was really lucky that he didn't end up seriously injured. And you can see if you watch the video a couple of times, he goes in with all intention to hurt Max Conway. He was not going for the ball at all. And from a Wimbledon point of view, you'd be absolutely livid with this because, we're only in the 49th minute. There's not much of the second half has been played. But they started off aggressive. They won a free kick. They looked around our box once, twice. They was on the front foot a little bit. They looked like they were coming out with that little bit of aggression. They've gone in at 1-0 down. You're away at Bolton. It's not the worst score at half time. They came out with that aggression. Brown goes in, does this. It virtually killed the game at that point. So from a Wimbledon point of view, you would be absolutely livid. We was manipulating the spaces very well, as I've shown in the other images, in the first half when they had 11 men. Now, you take a man out of the 11, and them spaces just blew open for us. It's a Mario's goal, and I just want to say, first of all, what a finish. The ball from Burstow to Cogley as well, by the way, was sublime. Like, there's not many strikers at this level that are pulling off the technique on that ball. It was brilliant. And what I loved as well, and I'll go on to this in a second, he didn't just admire the pass, he then goes and gets on the edge of the box, which is actually key to a Mario's goal. Now, there's a little rounded line here. It's the first time I've attempted to do one of these. It's not the easiest to get on the screen, I'll be honest with you. But I wanted to highlight how Mario curved his run straight away. And if you're curving your run like that from there, all that was in his mind from here, the second Cogley picks up this ball is, I'm going to shoot on this left foot. But what I really like is because he curves that run, he doesn't have to cut back. He can just shift the ball onto his left foot, which is why it made it so difficult for the keeper to react, because he doesn't make a big sudden move to come back in. He just shifts slightly, and the curved run allows him to do this. Just said Burstow did play an important part here because he doesn't admire his pass. He goes and gets on the edge of his box, which leaves their number 31 in no man's land. Because if Burstow isn't there, he can go and help out his man and maybe get the block on the shot. But because Burstow's here, he can't just leave him. If he goes out now, Mario's got a very simple cutback, and think of the amount of space Burstow would then have. And then if this man comes over, Randall's then open and it's 2v1 out here. I also wanted to highlight that Randall was getting in the box a lot. Gale's at this back post as well. So it's a four. It's a 4-on-4. Yeah, you suppose you can count this man 5-on-4 for them in their box, showing aggression. And again, if you look at the minute, we showed aggression straight after the red card. We went, right, this is it. And we went for it. And that was brilliant to see. That's what you want to see when the opposition gets a red card. Yeah, so Burstow does play a big role in this. And again, what a finish from Mario. Randall's goal. It was a lovely little touch, actually. I'm not entirely sure if Conway's shooting or not, but the pace he puts on the ball, it's more than likely he's not. He's trying to put it into this area where Dolby and Randall are. Brilliant thing is, if Randall doesn't get the touch, Dolby probably does. It's a brilliant ball into a very dangerous area. Lovely little touch from Randall, and he got what he deserved. Again, I really thought he worked his socks off. Maybe in the opening 10-15, he could have been a little bit tidier on the ball, but after that, he was very tidy on the ball, created chances, showed hunger to get into the box. Just fantastic all round. And the balling from Conway again, absolutely brilliant. See, we've jumped on in time a little bit here, and that's because it was 11 against 10 at this point. There was a couple of nice things we saw from individual points of view, but I'd have to go and show loads of clips and things like that. It takes away the tactical element a little bit more and how we created the space, because the space was already there with the man less. Just wanted to highlight this here for their player, the second man to get sent off for them. Now, if this is given as a second yellow against Bolton, I'm not necessarily too happy about it. But this player caused his own problems. I mean, his first yellow card is for dissent. And even after the first yellow card for dissent, he continued to consistently go at the referee, which when you then go and you're slightly late with a shoulder to shoulder on a player who gets to the ball before you, you're letting the referee send you off because you've been so out of order with him and so abusive to him that you've been yellow carded for a first time and then continued. You make that option easy for him. So if I'm Wimbledon manager again, I'm fuming with this man, not necessarily for this yellow card, because if this is a second yellow and the first yellow is just for a slightly mistimed challenge, again, I'm not necessarily best pleased about it. But if you're going getting a yellow card for dissent and then continuing to go at the referee, you're creating your own problems for yourself, really. As I say, it makes it a lot easier for the referee to send you off. Key takeaways from the game for me. We looked very fluid in possession. We was switching between systems. Players were moving around. Again, I would not have liked to have been a Wimbledon midfielder trying to figure out where I should be. We pressed well. We stopped them playing, and we did it aggressive and early on. We shut down them playing out from the back and settling into the game. We shut that down really early on. The reaction after the red card, fantastic to see. We went straight away and we wanted to kill the game off. Because the last thing you want is for it to stay at 1-0, stay at 1-0, stay at 1-0, then suddenly they get a chance. You know what I mean? Because even with 10 men, you can create chances, especially from set pieces and things like that. More clinical than we've seen, obviously. I mean, we scored 3, not 1. It wasn't 1-1. It's always fantastic, especially after 4 in a row. Wingers taking the man to the line. It was lovely to see. It was brilliant to see. Even Sissoko, actually, I will mention this. I thought Sissoko was a lot more direct when he came on. He weren't as wishy-washy. Wishy-washy is probably not the correct word. He weren't as slow-tempoed as we've seen him. Casual, that's the word I'm looking for. He weren't as casual as we've seen him in previous games. He showed a little bit more desire to get that ball into the box that little bit quicker. And the other two wingers, obviously, they were brilliant. Um, Only negatives could be a push for more. Maybe is it worth risking the injuries and playing that higher tempo, like a really high tempo, because we were playing quite a high tempo anyway. But against 10 men, could we a push for more? Maybe again. It's hard to find negatives from a 3-0 win. Poor marking at times. No, that is the big negative for me. It could have been a very different game due to the marking early on. Um, but overall, fantastic result, fantastic performance. That man, that you can see on the screen, absolutely brilliant. Let me know if you thought there was any more positives. Let me know if you thought there was any more negatives. Let me know anything you disagree with, agree with. I've really enjoyed making this video. It's so much better to do it when we've won a game. I can't lie to you. Um, any shares, likes, comments, anything like that's massively appreciated. I really do hope you've enjoyed the video, and I shall catch you next time.